Okay. If I could call tonight's meeting to order, Kathleen Nalen. Here. Brian Chetney.
Here.
Tom Chapa.
Here.
Heather Del Conte.
Here.
Brandon Legault. Linda Serino.
Here.
Samuel Tripp.
Here.
If you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to adjourn.
Next on the agenda is the floor to the public. I just want to let everyone know that there is a limit of 3 minutes per speaker, and the board will not answer your questions tonight, but if there is a question, they will get a hold of you. Okay? If I could have Colton Dryden.
So, we've kind of blocked out a couple of the spaces on the sheet. We are members of the Oswego Pop Warner Football Association. We wanted to just introduce ourselves today to you guys and discuss a couple of the issues we've been dealing with just this past year, and maybe we can get a step forward in the right direction this year.
My name is Leslie Wiedemann. I'm the Vice President of Oswego Pop Warner. I'm also the Scholastics Coordinator. So I'm just here to tell you guys tonight in regards to our numbers, our children, the fees that we're including, and see what we can do for them. We are a not-for-profit organization. We are trying to build our numbers for kids. It is a little difficult in this area with the poverty level, with the income basis for some parents. With that said, we try to fundraise a lot. We try to do a lot of public speaking. We try to go and get scholarships, sponsorships, and such with that, which we've led to nowhere with that so far. We are seeing a number of increasing kids, which is great. So we went from 30-ish kids last season to 45 this season, so it's a nice jump. We do have a lot more parents reach out to us that are having trouble with the fees, so we help them where we can. However, we do accrue our own fees, such as insurance dues, equipment, safety, courses that all of our coaches and board members have to take, along with background checks. So although we're not a not-for-profit organization, we do have bills that are due on the back end of ours as well. So we're just looking for some type of help within the city and the community to see what we can do to help with some of the fees that we've included over the past season or so. With that said, also with scholastics, the children are held to a certain standard to what we give them. They have to go to practice. If they don't go to school, they don't go to practice. If they don't go to practices, they don't go to games. With all of that said, they have to carry a 70% GPA with Pop Warner, or they cannot participate in this program. So we see a lot of kids that come from no discipline, no stability, no structure. Pop Warner provides that for them. We've seen a lot of kids come up from where they were, where they didn't have much of anything. It teaches them responsibility, structure, stability, discipline. And we see their grades improve too with Pop Warner, which is nice, because they do well. They answer to these guys, coaches, and they don't like that. So that's just what we're looking for. And again, my name is Leslie Wiedemann. If you have any questions, you can reach me on the Pop Warner page. I answer at all hours of the day and night. Mr. Chetney has my information too. I was lucky to meet with him last week, along with Billy Barlow. We've also met.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
What are you looking for from the school board?
We are looking for, in the years past, I have twin children that are in this, they're back here right now. In the years past, we utilized the middle school for our practices, which has been great. We also utilized the field for home games. We never include any kind of fees or dues or anything of that nature. We, in the past president, vice president that ran it, had keys to the bathrooms. We locked them, cleaned them, locked them back up at the end of the night. Never an issue. Now we were faced with not having bathroom usage all the time due to different miscommunications between different parts of the area, along with now getting billed for the field and a custodial usage for 3 home games last year. The only time we profit is when we have home games and we have concessions. The concession last season didn't even cover the field bill. So we're providing to our community, we're giving these kids activity, fitness. Oswego County has the highest obesity rate of kids. And if we don't have this and if we don't keep this, that's only going to get higher. And we are the feeder program for modified and high school as well. So if we lose that, we're losing a lot of numbers all the way up the line.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Kelly Reinhardt Harris.
I'm not nearly as organized as Leslie. I had to write mine out. If the Pop Warner organization has to pay exorbitant fees to utilize an area to practice and hold games, they'll have to increase the fees for players, making the benefits of belonging to Pop Warner more unreachable than ever for many children who need to belong to something that is positive and teaches mental, physical, and social skills. And those will be applicable throughout their lives. I come from a little bit different background than most of the parents here today. I've been a foster parent for over 10 years, as well as being a retired special ed teacher. I taught at-risk students of all ages, almost exclusively throughout my career. I believe that those experiences kind of lend a bit of insight into what our kids of today need in order to be successful. I can honestly say I have 2 children right now who, one was involved in football last year in Pop Warner, and he made huge, these are foster kids, he made huge strides socially, academically, and physically. He had to reach for a higher standard than he's ever had to reach to in his life, all based on wanting to get the respect of his coaches, being a part of a family. My husband and I are kind of lucky because we're both retired, we both had good jobs, so we can afford the current fees. But I also am aware, I mean, you look around our community right now, talk to your teachers, look at the kids hanging out at Brightbeck. Our kids need a positive place to hang out with guiding adults to feel like they're a part of a family, whether they're a foster child or one of the children that are falling through the cracks in our community. Go down to Brightbeck, you see a whole crowd of them down there. Disrespect for people walking by. Go to the farmer's market. Listen to the stories of the teachers in the classrooms. We have kids that need an outlet with positive guidance to do that. Through my career, I had a lot of kids that would come back, and I've also talked to some of the foster children that we've had over the years. Those children, when they would talk about being successful, my one question I always would ask them, why were you successful? And some of the other kids were not successful. 2 things always came forward. 1, an adult believed in me. Didn't matter who that adult was. Could have been a grandparent, could have been a teacher, could have been a coach. The second thing was that they had built self-respect for themselves based on something they had a passion for. Hopefully, most of these children that are getting involved now will have that passion. So as they go through middle school and high school and get into the high school and middle school sports, they'll continue to maintain that self-discipline, that self-respect. And with self-respect comes the ability to be respectful to other people. It's been an honor for me to watch the coaches and all the other individuals that these guys give 150%. And honestly, there's a lot of kids out there that are in that low income level or are foster children. A lot of foster homes don't have the money to send their kids to something like this, and it's very, 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 very beneficial. Low income families can't do it either, and we're having a hard time even getting scholarships. I sponsored a scholarship last year because I happen to have a little extra money and can do it. Definitely is something that we need to continue in our community.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
What is a scholarship?
A scholarship can be
How much is a scholarship to donate?
I donated 100,
It's
Leslie.
$100 per child, so every $100 that somebody can donate or sponsor will allow a child to be a little bigger. We never ask to have the whole team sponsor the whole Oswego Pop Warner, but for every kid, we're trying to pull more kids in. Parents nowadays, they don't want to, go down and say, I don't have the money. They don't want to put themselves in that level, and they don't want to feel judged. So we go around, and then when those families do come to us that are willing to say it, that's where we pull that little bit out and try to help them.
Okay, and the second question is, can you tell me how many years now you've had to pay to use the fields?
Last year was our first year.
2 years?
Last year was our first year.
I can't hear.
Last year was our first year.
You get any help from the Buck Boosters?
No, sir.
Have you ever asked them for any help?
No, sir. This is all new to us. It was never an issue to begin with, so we were just hit with it all in 1 year from when Colton and I had taken over. We're trying to rebuild it. The previous president, vice president, a lot of people know this, and Claris, they did great with it. we took over thinking it'd be easy peasy, and lo and behold, it has been anything but. So we're just starting from the ground up and going where we can. We did try to reach out to the superintendent office and the mayor and such, and so this is why we're here today where we are, because this is what our recommendation was.
Dean, do they have to pay per game?
I don't know, I'm gonna have to meet with Rhonda and kind of get to the bottom of what the whole
A
topic.
lot of questions I have right
Yeah,
here.
I'll follow up.
Right
For
here.
the interest of time and just because of the structure of this meeting, we'd like to hear from people, but please state your name and your address so that we know when we do have questions, we can get back to you for that.
And I
There
do
isn't-
have those.
Okay, there isn't a lot of time now to do like a give and take, but we do want to hear from everyone who was interested in
And to
speaking.
answer the fee of me paying for the usage of the field, 1 fee per game, and then hourly for each custodian that was on.
And the last speaker is Corey McTaggy?
McTagg.
Okay.
How's it going, guys? My name is Corey McTagg. Right now, I'm the acting football coordinator for Pop Warner. I'm also a volunteer coach. I moved here when I was 7 years old, and I began playing Pop Warner football, and I continued playing football all the way throughout middle school, high school, right here in Oswego. So this organization, this city, has a lot of meaning to me and stuff like that. When I played, there was a time where we had at least, at the very minimum, we had 3 teams. And each team needs at least 18 kids to play. So you can do those kind of numbers. Last year we had 1 full tackle team, need 18 kids, and we had a flag team because we didn't have enough kids to register another a team. Right now I'm also the assistant coach for the modified program. With that, I also volunteer as much as time as possible to try and help out Coach Finch up the varsity level. Last year I helped participate in their practices in the beginning of the year. I also recorded their games. I wrote down statistics, really whatever he needed me to do. I've been involved in every single level of competitive football throughout Oswego, whether it's youth, modified, or varsity. And a common thing that we've all seen within the last few years is obviously a lack of numbers. So I think that to begin structuring that is you got to start from the bottom. You got to build a foundation. We give these kids the ability to learn the sport. We teach them things that they will use at the modified level, at the high school level. Being me, I'm always in Coach Bond's ear, Coach Finch's ear, trying to learn as much as I can about what we do at those levels so these kids are prepared as they're moving up through. We give the kids leadership qualities. You know, we really strive on having the kids there at practice, as said before, and stuff of that sort. Really make it so the kids take pride in that kind of stuff. One thing, a solution to some of the problems that we're already explaining, bathroom usage. In the past president, as Leslie mentioned, Mr. Sinclair, he had keys to the bathrooms, he had codes to turn on the lights for our fields. We don't have any of that stuff. I'm fingerprinted, background checked through the school district, I'm hired through the school district. I also work through AmeriCorps, I'm background checked, fingerprinted for them. I think that I'm a pretty good candidate to hold a key to a bathroom, and then you kind of know who has it, who's responsible. The lights is a whole different story. We usually, the most amount of time we would use the lights for ever on a field is up to an hour, but that's at the very end of our season because of the darkness. But that's just to simply, if you take away just being better to see and stuff, it's just injuries for kids and stuff like that. There's really, last year we had to practice on this outside of the fence where the long jump is, and the lights would be on, but we were not allowed to go on the field. It's still not enough, light coverage for our kids to be safe, and still continue practice how we should, with safety being our #1 concern. That's all I have to say. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And there is no one else signed up to speak tonight.
Can I take Leslie's stuff on the sheet?
I kind of
Yeah, she kind of strung on me on mine.
That would be up to the board president.
That'll be fine.
My name is
Name again. and
my name is Colton Dryden, and I am the president of the association. I took over with Leslie and a whole new board last year. All the problems that they said were 100% true, and not an issue that we ever had before. Even as far back as when I played Pop Warner football, that field, the practice field and the game field, we utilized every single season and never had an issue. My parents were on the board at that point. So when we kind of faced it last year, it was kind of a shock to us, and we backpedaled a little bit. We agreed to it because we didn't want to take Pop Warner away from the community of Oswego. We did have some extra money to deal with last year. Unfortunately, this year we're facing the constant need for jerseys and uniforms for both our cheerleading and our football. That's upwards of $2,000 fee. Our bank account does not even reconcile that much in a year. This is years and years of saving at this point. So unfortunately, we just do not have the extra headway to continue to pay fees like this. And in the future, if it's something that we can come back to, maybe if you really insist on, having us pay for the custodians and stuff, we can start moving towards the direction of getting sponsors for that. But because this was brand new to us, we unfortunately just kind of got started on doing something like that. Our entire organization is volunteer run. None of us get paid. I work 2 full-time jobs, and this is my 3rd full-time job, basically. And these kids that stand behind me, they love every minute of it. They come show up to practice, even if the heat index is incredibly high, or if it's raining, pouring, they're out there, they're playing, they're having fun. Every single one of our coaches are Oswego alumni. We all graduated from Oswego High School. We all played in the football program. We all relatively young, but we're working on it. We're growing. We're moving up the standards. And for an organization that's in a rebuilding phase that we are, that's all we expect. And we're hoping that we can get as much of the community behind us as possible. So, like I said, with your guys' help, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, I believe.
Yeah, sorry, can I make a motion for executive for pending litigation?
Could I have a motion, please?
Pending litigation.
There's a motion on the floor for pending litigation. Can we get a second?
For executive session.
Executive session, sorry. To discuss
Second.
pending litigation.
Could I have a motion, please, to move to executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Yeah, she made the motion. We just need a second, and then we need everyone in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you, we'll get it right.
We may move to executive session.